Hey guys, I'm Peyton. Welcome back to Everything Football, where we talk everything football from the NFL, the NCAA, the AAF, the XFL, and the CFL. Before I get into the video, I just want to say I'm sorry for not posting anything last week about the AAF, NFL. There's a bunch of things that happened, a bunch of news that I should have been able to cover. The reason being, not to give any excuses, but I do work two jobs, so having to go and have those obligations with those jobs. I also have a dog I have to take care of. I have obligations with that, make sure he's fed. I have to make sure I'm healthy and doing those things, taking care of myself. So as much as I like making these videos, it isn't the priority or the top priority in my life. So I did have to attend to my other priorities last week, which left me little time to make any videos. So I'm going to try and make up for it this week. I do know I'm going to have some free time this week, or more free time for the next 2 weeks. So if I can make more videos, I'm going to try and do that to make up for it. I'm sorry, I just wanted to give you a little background why I didn't post anything last week. I'm not stopping this video stuff, even though that may have appeared that I just gave up, but that's not the reality. The reality is I just have a lot of other obligations. So thank you for clicking on the video, guys, and we're going to get into AAF Week 4 coming up next. Alright guys, getting into Week 4 of the AAF. The AAF this week maybe had two themes. I think the first theme would be upsets. 3 teams that we expected to win ended up being upset. And then the other theme would be the number 11. 3 teams scored 11 points, and all 3 of those teams ended up losing their games. So starting with the first game, the Memphis Express defeat the San Diego Fleet, getting their first win and winning 26-23. Kind of my takeaways from the game, first being the Memphis Express do look better with Zach Mettenberger at quarterback. They seem more consistent on offense, but on top of that, their defense is doing a little better from the fact that they're getting help on offense. They're not having to play a substantial amount of downs, and they're not getting in bad field position all the time like they were under Christian Hackenberg. So with that Mettenberger in, you have a lot more consistency on the offensive side. They're able to put up points, maybe not a ton, but they do look better. And then as far as their defense goes, what I think is the big key is it's hard to run on the Memphis Express defense. It's hard to do anything on the Memphis Express defense. The Fleet scored 23 points, but they are a potent offense. They do have the ability to be a strong offense, especially relying on that running game, and then coming off that running game using play action and opening up passing lanes, making them drop people in the box. All that stuff really helps the Memphis Express defense, or the San Diego Fleet, out on the offensive side. And when you play that strong of a defense and you're not able to get your running game going like you want, it makes it hard. Some notes to be had were that the fact that 23 points were given up by the Memphis Express, but 7 of those points came off of a special teams punt return for a touchdown, the first in AAF history. Big deal, especially in a league that most punt highlights have been muff punts and bad fielding punts. It's been bad in the special teams department, especially on the punting side of things, more specifically punt return. So the fact that we got a punt return, kick return for a touchdown, or punt return for a touchdown is awesome for the AAF. I think that's big news. But moving forward with this game, the Fleet, the biggest thing that happened was Nelson went down with I think a wrist injury or a shoulder injury. It was a shoulder injury, and he couldn't throw, so they brought in Alex Ross. Alex Ross, obviously not the same quarterback that Nelson is. I don't think it was a huge drop-off, but what I do think is their offense needs Nelson. He's more accurate, maybe a little more of a playmaker than Ross was. And Ross didn't make terrible mistakes with the football, but he did have a tough go at it. And that was hard for the San Diego Fleet to overcome, especially against this defense and with an improved offense. Moving forward, the Memphis Express have a good box to stand on at this point. It's not great. They're 1-3, but they got their first win, and that's important. The next game would be the Salt Lake City Stallions versus the Orlando Apollos. They played in the snow in Utah at Rice-Eccles Stadium, and it was kind of, I would say, a little slower, but that's to be expected in the snow. It was a little more run-heavy, but then the Orlando Apollos came out with the passing game, especially in the second half. They had another 100-yard receiving game from Charles Johnson, which is a big deal. He's now the only AAF receiver to have 2 over 100-yard receiving games. I think he's also the leader in receiving yards for the AAF. So that's another big deal. for the AAF. And the Orlando Apollos also showed us that I think right now they are by far the favorite to win this whole thing. They have the most consistent offense, the most potent offense. They have, like I've been saying, it's not necessarily a great defense, but it's very opportunistic. They have playmakers, and they can get the ball back for their offense. They're not always going to prevent teams from scoring, but they're definitely going to force turnovers, and that's what you want. Especially in pro football, it's not always about preventing teams from scoring, and we can see that with the Birmingham Iron. They prevent people from scoring, but how has it helped them? And that's a big deal. The Orlando Apollos are in a good position. They're 4-0. If they can make it to 6-0, 5-0, even if they win the half of the last 4 games, the Orlando Apollos right now are pretty much a lock to make it to this playoff, barring anything substantially different that happens. Salt Lake didn't look terrible. I just think that the weather didn't help them. It was a home game. It should have been something that was maybe a little more helpful, but you have to understand not all these guys are from Utah. Not all these guys are used to playing in the snow, so that's another factor. The talent difference in this game, I think, was a big deal. I think that you could see that the Orlando Apollos have a more talented roster than maybe any team in the league. Salt Lake had a good running game, especially from Bonyo or Bonyois or whatever his last name is, and they got a touchdown from him. But I didn't see anything like substantial, like a big deal. I didn't walk away from this Salt Lake Stallions performance and say like, oh, they did this really well. I just think they maybe limited Orlando to I think their fewest scored points in the league in the season so far. But at the same time, it was snowing, the weather was inclement, so that might have helped them as well. The next game moving forward will be the Birmingham Iron and the San Antonio Commanders, which might have been the most exciting game. Maybe outside of the Memphis Express San Diego Fleet game. It was a good game. It was very defense heavy. Something that we've seen now for 4 weeks is that the Birmingham Iron have a hard time getting the ball in the end zone, especially in the passing game. Luis Perez came off really hot after that first week. A lot of excitement towards him, and now it's kind of cooled down. We're seeing that he has a hard time. Maybe he doesn't want to force throws in the end zone. He has a hard time when that defense gets compacted in the red zone for him to make the throws that he makes on the rest of the field. And this is actually going to hurt the Birmingham Iron going forward. Teams like Memphis Express might have a more potent offense than the Birmingham Iron. Just the Birmingham Iron probably have the most powerful lockdown defense. We saw that when the San Antonio Commanders had 4 plays to get it, or 6 plays, I believe, to get it into the end zone at about the 2 or 1 yard line, and they were stuffed on all 6 plays, whether it be pass or run, mainly the run game. It was a very impressive stand by the Birmingham Iron, and it showed you that their defense is for real. Their bend, don't break, and a lot of the times they don't even bend. Strong defensive performance. Especially on the San Antonio Commander side, going to them, they had a good defensive performance, forcing some turnovers that Luis Perez really hasn't shown that he makes. He made some bad decisions in this one. Got helped a lot by the pass interference calls that San Antonio committed in the fourth quarter, especially. But overall, I think after this game, you walk away and you say, "Wow, San Antonio might be 2-2, and it's a 3-way tie in the West." But San Antonio might be the best team in the West, and I don't know if that's a good thing for the West as far as championship value goes. But San Antonio, Arizona, and San Diego, and even Salt Lake, they all are viable teams, and that West division is very, very it's very evened out. It's where as far as the East division has the one favorite, that's Orlando, and everyone else is maybe playing for second place. Then moving on to the final game, and I think probably the biggest game for the team that won, which is the Atlanta Legends get their first win against the Arizona Hotshots. And this one was kind of a big deal. They made a lot of plays, and what happened was, I think in this first or second series, Matt Sims goes out with a pinky injury. He can't throw the ball anymore because of it. He can't grip it or whatever. In comes Aaron Murray, which fans and pretty much people that aren't fans of the Atlanta Legends have been calling for Aaron Murray since the season started, especially after you saw that first week from Matt Sims. He seems to throw interceptions, and Aaron Murray didn't really do that. Again, this is the Arizona Hotshots. I've already said that I don't think their defense is that great. So watching this, I don't know what to take away from their offensive going forward, but they look better. Aaron Murray's more mobile. Aaron Murray is maybe even a better passer. I think what Aaron Murray brings to the offense is a new element, and it's something that offense needs. It can't be this pro style quarterback that drops back. He needs to be mobile, especially with these offensive lines. You want some guys that can get in there, and maybe they don't have to be the fastest guys, they don't have to be the best runners, but they definitely need to be mobile. And I don't think Matt Sims was the mobile guy that you needed. So with Aaron Murray, they come in. They scored, I believe, 18 points, and they beat the Arizona Hotshots, who only scored 11 points. Wolford came in and he had maybe a lackluster game. There's a lot of mistakes on the Arizona Hotshot side. It didn't look like a clean game for them. They had that dumb play where Rashad Ross, which I understand he's trying to make a play. He trusts in his athleticism, but he does the cardinal rule where he's at the 5-yard line and he runs into the end zone, gets tackled to safety. Just a lot of things fell to the side of the Atlanta Legends, and coming in with that new energy from Aaron Murray was a big deal for them. I think it sparked this team. So overall, I think the week was good overall for the AAF. You had a lot of exciting games. If you didn't watch, I highly recommend that you go back on YouTube. You can watch all the full games, and if not, you can watch the highlights on there if you don't have the time. Go on YouTube, watch all the full games. They were all exciting, I believe. They were all, especially when you like football or you love football like I do, it's something that you watch and you say, wow, like this is something that I enjoy watching. These games especially were exciting. I was most intrigued by the San Antonio Commanders versus the Birmingham Iron, especially in that fourth quarter. Got really exciting at the end. Birmingham had a chance to win it on a fourth down conversion or an onside conversion, and he ended up throwing a pick. He rolled to the right, only had one option, tried to force a pass, threw a pick, and it was a very, very exciting game overall. So that being said, guys, thank you for clicking on the video. I do have a question for you. Outside of the Orlando Apollos, who's your favorite to win the AAF championship game? Please comment down below. Let me know what you think on that question. And then as far as that goes, thank you for watching the video, guys. If you like the video, please press like. If you don't mind, please press subscribe. I appreciate all of it. Give me some feedback, guys. Let me know how I'm doing, and I'm out.